Welcome to Aesthetics by Swanson, where everything is aesthetic. This is episode 5, lesson number 5 podcast, episode number 5, the best cardio for aesthetics. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, give us a like, don't forget to turn on post notifications, and this is going to be a good one. The best cardio for aesthetics. Wow, that's episode number 5. There are different forms of cardio. We have swimming, rope, cycling, rowing, running, walking, elliptical. All of these forms of cardio are excellent. Cardiovascular, just in general, is great for your heart. The longevity and the vitality of the body and cardio, they just go hand in hand. And when we're talking about the parameters, that's like my favorite word, for aesthetics, all of these are good. Okay. Now, when we're talking about hypertrophy and aesthetics and being aesthetic and having a well-balanced physique, all forms of cardio are great, but you don't want the form of cardio that you're doing to interfere with the muscle building process. So what does this look like? I can talk about it, but what does this look like? Well, let's say you just had an amazing arms and chest day. Okay, you train for hypertrophy, you know you stimulated growth, you know you're going to get 1 gram per pound, and then someone invites you out for an Indian run and you're sprinting and you're going all out for 30 minutes. I guarantee you the interference effect is going to kick in and your body's going to have to make a choice. Yes, there's a thing called the interference effect. That's going to interfere with a little bit of the muscle building properties. Okay, so the best cardio for aesthetics is all of them. The best form is all of them, as long as it does not interfere with your muscle building properties. So how would you plan your cardio into hypertrophy training if you're trying to grow, right, to be aesthetic? Well, you would simply program your swimming, running, roping, cycling, whatever. You would program it away from the body part that you trained in accordance with your calendar schedule. So let's say you did arms and chest. Again, you did arms and chest and then you rested a couple days and then you went for your run. That's not going to interfere with your muscle building right there because number one, it's away from the arms and chest session. It's 2 days away from it. Legs has nothing to do with arms and chest. And then the day after tomorrow, in that context, in that day, you could totally do a leg day if your legs are healed and ready to go. And actually, this is very good for your legs if you go and run or do any other form of cardio and then hit a leg day, because we already know there's a transfer. There's a synergistic effect with that. It's going to transfer over and help you with your cardiovascular when you're lifting weights. So they do go hand in hand. You just have to do them away from each other so it doesn't interfere with your muscle building properties. There's nothing wrong with doing both. Just make sure it doesn't interfere. So, the cardio that I always recommend all clients, and this is in all the templates and all of the programs, is simply walking. Why walking? Because we do it every day. We get up, we do the laundry, I take the dog out for a walk. Walking is so easy. What's the amount? 8K to 10K. 8K to 10K a day, or just 8K to 10K average within the week. So this walking is not going to interfere with your muscle building. This is the reason why it's in all the templates, because when you walk, it doesn't deplete your glycogen stores. Glycogen is basically the energy that's in the muscle that depletes whenever you're going all out when you're training for hypertrophy. So this is why I was talking about before how carbs are the body's primary fuel source. So when you're going all out, your body's using the glycogen. That's why I was saying earlier with the running, if you go and do the Indian run, the sprints, your body's going to be using glycogen. Well, you just used up glycogen when you were doing the arms and chest. So there is going to be some interference. So with walking, it spares your glycogen. And walking, it is just going out for a stroll. The steps are going to add up, especially if you have an active job. The calories that you burn through your work they add up, especially if you're pairing that with your resistance training and we don't want there to be any interference effect. So while we're on walking, if you get more than 10K steps, like 15,000 steps, and you know your maintenance calories and you're faithfully eating around maintenance and you're getting over 10,000 steps, over time, if you're consistently eating around maintenance, your body is going to get pushed into a deficit. And this is where you see influencers online where they'll do these big refeeds, or they'll do, like a refeed and you're like, oh my God, how are they eating that? They're keeping that physique because they're eating in maintenance calories and they're getting their cardio in. That's how they're doing it. How do I know this? Well, because I'm one of them. So it's very simple. It's very, 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 very simple. That's how they stay ripped. That's how I stay ripped. I don't stay ripped all year long. I do believe in bulking and cutting cycles, and we can get into that later. But again, as it pertains to cardio, everyone that trains for hypertrophy and is aesthetic does this. They do different forms of cardio. They just make sure it does not interfere with the muscle building process. Okay? So I hope this episode helps people dial it in, because the last thing we want to do is overtrain and feel bogged down. We don't want to overtrain. And this is why I always prescribe walking, because walking, you're going to burn the calories. You're going to pair it with the resistance training. It's a healthy balance. And here at Aesthetics by Swanson, we know balance is the key in every aspect of life. Okay, especially in training and reaching our fitness goals. 8,000 steps to 10K steps. You don't need to go crazy on the Stairmaster. You don't need to do crazy sprints. Okay. Now, I want to end with this. If you're doing something where you're training for aesthetics or hypertrophy one day, and then you do CrossFit like 3 days later, that's perfectly fine, because it's away from that body part that you probably trained. So if you did something like CrossFit and you blended it with like the Greek God program, you would be fine. You just can't do it all in one day. Because if you do it all in one day, you're going to start getting into overtraining, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. There's a difference between overtraining and pushing past failure within the same training day than overtrain, like you do a hard arms and chest session, and then the next day you try to do some more pec deck and try to, because you think somewhere in your mind, if I just do some more pec deck, even though I train arms and chest, I'm going to grow faster. No, what's going to happen is you're going to stunt the growth process. So this is why we train for hypertrophy all in one take. We rest and we grow. Balance. You never train the same body part twice in 2 days in a row. You definitely don't do that. That's why I don't understand some people when I see a lot of workout splits, 4 glute days a week. What? 3 glute days a week? That's a lot. Why don't you just do 2 amazing hypertrophic? Why don't you just get the Peach program? Straight up. That's going to give you all the growth. You don't need to do all these body weight squats and sprint like crazy and do all these box jumps. No, just get your steps in and train for hypertrophy, and buy the freaking Peach program, buy the freaking Greek God program, because it's going to give you all types of results. Anyways, I'm going to shut up. I'm going to leave you guys alone. Thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast. I love you guys. This has been Aesthetics by Swanson, where everything is aesthetic.